So let's go all the way back. I want to peel this bad boy all the way back to it sounds like more than 27 years of service. You were in for how long? So you went command route at 23 years. How long did you actually stay in?
29. I was just over 29 years. Yeah.
That is unreal. So going all the way back to the beginning. So your dad was a Navy corpsman, and he obviously was docked to the Marine guys that he worked with through his career. And you grew up with that around you. Did your parents influence you to go into the Navy, or was it just sort of a thing that was kind of like there that you loved and you grew up in that world and it was just a natural kind of progression for you to get in?
Probably both, Aaron. I used to think it was so cool that my dad could stop at a car accident and help people. And that always spoke to me. And the first couple years when I was younger, first couple years of high school, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And
well, in some ways you sort of were, right? You wanted to be a marine biologist, and then you ended up, being a marine biologist. That's kind of ironic.
That's true. I guess I never thought about it like that.
It's because you're not an idiot, Jody. That's why you've never thought of it like that. It's because you're a smart person.
No, I'm going to start. I'm totally going to start.
You're an educated man.
You're an educated man, so you would never think something as stupid as calling a Navy doctor a marine biologist. Oh, man. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the comments. Anyway, continue, Jody.
Yeah, so it did influence me. I was an only child, and a lot of my bigger brothers and sisters, if you will, were my dad's corpsmen, the sailors that he worked with. I grew up with those people in our house all the time. At some point we had some of them were living with us here and there, as they were moving in, moving out, whatever. And then just always the barbecues. And that, I think, had a huge influence on me. So right around that 11th grade year, I guess, is when I really decided, okay, I want to join the Navy, and, I want to go into the special operations fields. Of course, at the time it was, everything was SEALs, and I think I've said this multiple times in public, but I could not pass my screener when I went to boot camp because I was a triathlete and a cross-country guy and a swimmer and all that stuff in high school, but I could not do pull-ups or push-ups to save my soul. I could run and swim like a fish. And so I had to kind of figure that out. And by the time I went to field med school, which is the one where you go to, to kind of get indoctrinated to the Marine Corps way of life, by then I had it down and I could do 20 dead hangs, all the things, right? Mm-hmm. But they wouldn't let us screen out of there. There were some guys that came from Recon to screen, and at the time, you couldn't go straight there. You had to go to a hospital first. So I went to a hospital, went to Somalia, and then when I was ready to take the pipeline for us had just started officially. And it's funny, if you look at my original paperwork, it says Forest Recon. It's just all kinds of beat up. And it was a SEAL that was screening me. And I crushed that test. And he's like, dude, I can get you into buds like right meow. And I don't know. It's a whole longer story, but I met a guy, a Recon corpsman in Somalia. And I was like, hey, what do you do? We were on a ship and they were doing some stuff. And so he told me all about it. And he's like, bro, we're like the underdogs. Nobody knows about us. And it's not because we're like super secret squirrels. We're just like the bastard children of the bastard children. But he said, you will never find a better group of people in your life. And that spoke to me. So as soon as I got back from that IA to Somalia, I found out about it and did it. And of course, this is all on paper with carbon copy paper and, no computers back then.
Right.
But, when that SEAL was like, hey, dude, I can get you in buds right now. And I was like, no, man, I think I'm going to do this Recon thing. And I remember that guy to this day, and I've been in touch with him since because he kind of changed my life. He undersold it, which is actually what sold me. He was not trying to be like, oh, bro, blah, blah, blah. He was like, dude, it's a great group of dudes, but it always sucks. We don't get any money. We don't, and I was like, oh, you're speaking
nice.
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
so true.
That sort of thing that's like catnip to guys like us. Like, hey, you're going to be an underdog. Nobody's going to know what you do. We have a righteous mission, but you're just going to get just crapped on the entire time. There's a good portion of us that are like, oh no, the mission's that good. The people are that good. Let's go, baby. I'm in.
Yeah, man. And so I got back to got into the pipeline and just, it was off to the races from there. It's a 2-year, our program is 2 years. Actually, it's about 2 to 2.5 now, because when I went through, we would go to the short course. It used to be 300 F1, and we used to have PJs there. My class didn't, because I think you all had just stood up Kirkland. But it was, I was in Fort Sam. So I was the second to last class that went through at Fort Sam before they moved to Bragg. But it was the 6-month SOCM, we called it SOMED. I still have my shirt. It's funny, from 95, right? But it was, that first 6 months. So we had SEALs, Rangers, Green Berets, of course, and we had a couple of foreign guys in our class as well. But the PJs, you all had just moved, I think, in that time.
Yeah, you're not wrong though, because I've always really liked the Recon guys, and that's probably because I was kind of put through school with them, because in the 90s, and I couldn't tell you, I don't know if it was mid 90s or late 90s, but there was a big recruitment effort for combat control, and they needed people that were already combat dive, already free fall, or at least could go right to free fall, already airborne, and all that kind of stuff, and that were good people. And they did a massive recruiting effort and made the sister service transition from the Marine Corps to the Air Force really easy. So a lot of combat controllers, one of which we had on was a command master sergeant, excuse me, all came from Recon, and they were all really good dudes, and they really helped set a good culture for combat control going forward, which was pretty awesome. I mean, there's well-known folks that are CCTs or retired CCTs that were Recon guys. They got a really good culture over there.
PJ side too. Yeah, there was a while. Yeah, there was a while where we were just like straight up. We were like, "Hey, are you a Recon Marine?" And they'd be like, "Yep." They'd be like, "Oh, you don't even have to do INDOC. Come on over." I actually worked for it was hilarious. I worked for a guy for a long time that was not an INDOC grad. He was a prior Force Recon dude, and it was funny because every once in a while you'd be like, "Well, I mean, okay, Chief, but you didn't go to INDOC, so whatever." And he did not find that funny, by the way. So
I'll do a little name drop in here. Did you all know Roger Sparks, Big Frog?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so he and I worked together at First Force, and then I don't know if you know Chris Kloftenegger.
Yeah, from Moffett. He's he's over at Onyx now. So he runs Onyx Industries, which is a consulting company and a contracting company. And before that, he was at Moffett. He was a guard guy out at Moffett. Good guy. Yeah,
and then another guy, I won't say his name on air because I think he's doing other secret squirrel stuff, but both him and Chris, and then there's a couple others that were SARCs. We used to be called SARCs, Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsmen, and I think a lot of us still identify with that. But there's a lot of guys who have gone over to that side. I don't know if I've ever met any who have come the other way. Nobody's like, "Oh man, we've got it so good over here. I want to go."
That's how it goes.
The money spoils you. The money and equipment spoils you. I mean, nothing. I don't know if you're tracking this, Jody, but nothing but Arc'teryx touches Aaron's skin.
That's it.
He's a
Patagonia. Get it away from me. Unless it's got that bone frog on it, I don't want it. Give me that dead bird gang, and that is it, my dude.